This is another midweek video from Christchurch, Liverpool. I'm Maurice, as lots of you know, and I'm sure you'll agree, another video, another excellent shirt. I've had so much positive feedback, so glad that that is keeping you happy in this time that we can't see each other. In today's video, I'm going to answer two questions that came up on the live chat on Sunday, and then I've got a couple of things to say at the end, so I won't keep you too long. And the first question, there's one sort of theological question, one sort of practical question that came up on Sunday. The practical one was basically someone asking for advice about how to get into good patterns for a prayer life. As one of the things Tom was talking about was how we tend to ponder our terrible situation and not pray about that. And someone was asking how do you get into good patterns for that. Now we're actually going to do another video sometime in the next couple of weeks, a sort out your prayer life video, because Lindsay's got loads of ideas about that. In the meantime, I just want to recommend one resource, this book, which is called A Call to Spiritual Reformation by Don Carson. Now, as you can see, the people who published the book had a plot to try and get as few people to read it as possible, and that must be why they put this cover on it. So I recommend you get it on Kindle, it'll be less embarrassing for you to read. This is, despite being a terrible cover, a brilliant, very readable book which takes you through the prayers that are in the New Testament and helps you work out how you would pray those in your own prayer life. Very readable, very thought-provoking. But actually, so I'd really recommend the whole book to you. But one of the things that is really helpful about the book is that at the start of the book, he gives really practical lessons about getting into good pattern of prayer, about how to use lists, how to plan it, how to develop a good system, how to make sure you're praying for things regularly, not just praying when you feel like it. So it's worth getting the book just for that. A Call to Spiritual Reformation, D.A. Carson, but the whole book is great. And a number of leaders in the church have read that and would really recommend it. And as I said, we're going to do a video in a week or a couple of weeks' time where Lindsay will address that more sort of fulsomely. But that's my recommendation in the meantime. The other question that came was to do with Exodus 34, which Tom quoted on his sermon on Sunday. Exodus 34, talking about God's character, Exodus 34:6 says, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands and forgiving wickedness, rebellion and sin, yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation. And someone asked in the live stream, is that really fair that children get punished for the sins of their parents? Well, I'd say a couple of things to that. The first thing is to say that it's a very Western, modern thing to think I'm only responsible for me, and it should be me as an individual God deals with. The Bible has a view which is much more common in other parts of the world, that God would deal with us as family units, and family units are responsible for each other and how they behave to some extent. So it's not particularly unfair from the Bible's point of view for a whole family to suffer because of the bad actions of someone in particular. The Bible has a much more communal life way of viewing us, and so you see the whole nation of Israel suffers because they had bad kings, for example. I think that's actually more true to life. So the truth is that people, and many of us know this from our own families, people generations back from us have made poor decisions and done things that were wrong, and they are still negatively affecting people 3 or 4 generations on. And so the Bible here is describing that is a just thing that God puts into the way the world works. And it's not unfair, and actually it just is the truth, why it's such a responsibility to be a parent. But the thing that the New Testament adds to this picture, I think, is that through Jesus, when we trust in Jesus, the bad things that have been done that are still affecting us are redeemed. Now, that doesn't mean they stop being bad. The bad things that happened that are still affecting us negatively, they were bad things, and we are sorry they happened. But what God does through Jesus is take bad things and use them for good. That's the story of many Christians. that the things that their family have left them with, that until they were a Christian just felt like something that was destroying and messing up their lives. When they trusted Christ, it began to be something that God could use for the sake of other people. Um, and so God redeems. He doesn't just sort of say, well, that's forgiven, because there's nothing to be forgiven for. It wasn't your fault. He redeems the bad thing that was done and turns it into something good. And the New Testament has this great theology of strength through weakness. That as the bad things in my life that have left me crushed and not my fault, but bad things that I carry from other people, God actually opens them up to be used for the good of other people who need help. And many of us will have experienced that in the family of the church, that there are people who are carrying very difficult things, not their fault. But as they've trusted in Jesus, those difficult things that they're carrying are actually the things that allow them to help other people. That's a little bit of insight into the theology of those verses. Two things to say before we finish this Q&A video. First one is, if you're watching this on today, Thursday, please don't forget that we have our Zoom prayer for frontline workers, praying for people who are on the front line, Thursday lunchtime, Thursday at 1 o'clock, just for half an hour. And the Zoom link for that is in your members email you will have got this morning, or you can email Lindsay to find out about that. If you're at home and looking on just with great respect and awe and concern for the people in our church family, of whom there are many who are right in the front line of this, you're not powerless because you can pray. And people have put in prayer requests, things they'd like to be prayed for. Please join with us in that. That is the way we can help and support as Christians the people in our church family dealing with these difficult things. And secondly, just to say, we would always want to say in church life that you'll never be fully involved in church if all you do is attend on Sunday. And that's even more true now when attending just means watching the service online. You're very welcome to do that, but we would love to be able to look after you, care for you, love you, and help you grow in other ways. And all of our small groups at the moment in different nights of the week are meeting through the app Zoom. And maybe you've not really ever been in one of those because you haven't had time, or it's not really been your cup of tea. You can do it now without even leaving your own sofa. And it doesn't have to be geographically suitable for you either, because everybody's coming in from all over the place using the app. So please, if you're not in a Connect group via Zoom at the moment, please do join one. You can do that by emailing me, maurice@christchurchliverpool.org, or it may be you know people who are in a group, you can just go to theirs. No matter how fringy you are, if you're tuning in to watch with us, we would love to get to know you and care for and support you, especially at this difficult time. Keep going. Remember what we learned on Sunday. Don't look at God as the circumstances, the filter of your circumstances make you think he is. Look at God for who he really is. And I love that picture at the end of Psalm 77, which describes the children of Israel having to follow God through this terrifying situation, even though they couldn't see his footprints. And many of us are doing that now. We're trying to follow God, even though we can't see his footprints anywhere ahead of us. Keep going. He is gracious, compassionate, slow to anger, abounding in love, always ready to forgive. See you soon.